I didn't notice this until now. You have blind faith in the ultimate origin of genius being mindlessness. He quoted me as saying. And he's like, well, the idea that the ultimate origin of genius being genius just seems off. Seems off to agree with logic's law of identity that A equals A, genius begat genius. That's the only logical source genius can have, logically. But you reject, the atheist rejects, all atheists reject logic's law of identity just by being atheists who hope that the origin of reason could have been the lack of it. Such alchemy on steroids. You're a very superstitious person. Heh. And then he said, the formation of a good enough genius after 13 billion years in a vast universe. First of all, 13 billion, nature hasn't even existed for over 6,000 years. As proven in my series Crushing Atheist Myths, where I show that the establishment is dishonest, telling people to go along with irrational assumptions in their dating methods. So this is non sequitur, fallacy. It does not logically follow that space will create intelligence. That's nonsense. Or that time will create intelligence. That's nonsense. Or lead to intelligence. The more times you bash your head against the wall, atheists, the more insane you show yourselves to be. Was it Einstein who said that it's insanity to repeat something expecting a different result than the same old result you always get? But hey, atheists want reality to submit to their will. They don't want to submit to reality. So you wish that mind could arise mindlessly. That's absolute nonsense. There's nothing more irrational than that. Your desire for God's genius to not exist doesn't matter. Logically, genius could come only from a logical source. A very, very intelligent source. A God-level intelligent source. And the source of mankind's wisdom has to be way more wise than mankind's best. Just as the creator of a robot is more intelligent than the robot. Although the robot doesn't even have a mind. It's a puppet, programmed. Artificial intelligence is a misnomer. So that's not a good parallel, but you know what I mean. And so that was the last thing I said. That was an hour ago, and I've kept the page unrefreshed for a bunch of minutes. He might respond, doesn't matter. He's already shown that he's irrational because, where was it? Because I asked him this and he didn't answer. Would it be rational? He didn't say. He didn't answer this question. Instead, he answered a different question, as if I asked him, would it seem irrational? I didn't ask him if it seems irrational. Is it? He's afraid to say if it's irrational or not. Coward. So he's exposed. So here's the next atheist who attacked. D-Bob 132. Now, maybe there is a sock puppet account or two going on here, but maybe not. I give them the benefit of the doubt. The first thing you say kind of shows you don't understand definitions. Religion, in any technical sense, refers to the collective beliefs of people. That could be any or all religious organizations, not just specific beliefs or not the beliefs. For instance, one could believe that Jesus was the Son of God and accept Him into their heart. And by all definitions, except the biblical one, of course, be a Christian. But they can still reject the idea that they must go to church. I don't go to churches because I can't find real Christians. Or even that church is a positive. They could even cite the Bible to try to say that it's wrong to judge or something. I don't know what he's trying to say. I have to check, but I don't feel like it. So I don't really have to check. I'd have to deal with this. You know why? You know why? You can pause this and read what I didn't read. You know why? Because I wasn't even focused on religion. That's a distraction. So he's focusing on a distraction. The key here is belief versus doubt. If you have doubt, then your belief isn't genuine. That's simple. But without faith it is impossible to please God. For he who comes to God must believe that He is, and that He is a rewarder of them that diligently seek Him. The prefix a means without in atheism, like in asymmetrical also, without symmetry. That's a fact. Without theism means atheism, without. So agnostics don't know by definition, which means they cannot believe in truth. For if you doubt, that means you don't truly believe. So I just read this without thinking about it because I got distracted by something. Let me reread it because I don't read mindlessly. Agnostic essentially means don't know, right? Gnos, knowledge. A, without knowledge. Ik, quality of having no knowledge or lack of knowledge. So they don't know, and that means, so how can you believe in what you don't know? It's like, I believe in the alien over there. You believe in the alien over there. And how does he look like? I don't know, but I believe in him. And what's his name? I don't know, but I believe in him. And can you describe him at all? I don't know, but I believe in him. And maybe it's a her. I don't know. So if you don't know, you cannot believe. Because you have a lot of doubt, you have a lot of uncertainty as to that which you claim to believe. So you don't truly believe. Now in my case, I don't know everything about God. I don't know exactly how he looks. I know how he doesn't look. He's not black and he's not white. He's not a hippie who trimmed his beard. He was a Jew who followed the law, which says, let your beard grow naturally and don't trim it. Don't cut the edges of it. So I have an idea of how he looks. But to trust God doesn't require knowing how he looks. So that's actually different. Let's not conflate that. If you doubt that the Nigerian prince who sent you an email, if you still use emails instead of Facebook or WhatsApp or whatever you use, if you doubt that the Nigerian prince is telling the truth, that means you don't really trust him, right? Not a rhetorical question. Be sure to answer it. See, I already can see that it is likely they're not going to answer it, so I make it clear. Don't use the pretext of, oh, I thought it was a rhetorical question. I've had that pretext before. So I asked this guy a question, and it's been 6 hours. And look, he got support from other atheist fanatics, or maybe himself, I don't know. So 8 hours ago, I answered within 2 hours. It's been 6 hours, and then some. And he hasn't answered the question. And if he does answer the question, well, it's a trap question, because this will prove that he's wrong. Next person, Rusty Walker, the worst of them. Rusty Walker said this shit. It's a short comment, so I'll read it all. The implications of atheism. A. Oh, he's Canadian. I believe people made gods up. The implication of that is believers can't tell me what to do or that they know what a God expects of me. The implication is that I have a responsibility to live in harmony with my fellow citizens so we all get along as agreeably as possible. The implication is that it's up to us to defend the weak, feed the hungry, help the homeless, fund medical charities, stop climate change getting any worse, because there are no gods to do it for us. Or maybe God is real, but he gave us hands to tie our own shoes. Maybe God doesn't have to tie our shoes, hey? How about that, The implication, and this doesn't exist, by the way. Anyway, more on that later. The implication is that it's up to us to help to prevent people who want to use their wealth and power from exploiting the poor and disenfranchised. Do not suffer in silence. Do not turn the other cheek for anything that isn't trivial. Stand up, use your voice, and fight against oppression and injustice everywhere you see it. Now shut up and sit down. Wait a minute, you just contradict yourself. Stand up, sit down. I'm kidding, of course. I know what he means. Now shut up and sit down unless you want to start behaving like an adult. The atheist pretends that he has authority. The atheist pretends that he can tell people what to do. How old is this kid? Now, you don't have to be a kid to act like this guy. There are many old people who act like brats like this kid, like this guy or gal. So an implication of atheism is that nature is all that exists, because if there were no Great Spirit, neither do we have spirits which would come from that Great Spirit. Or our spirits would be gods themselves if we were never created, arguably gods, if we always existed spiritually. So atheism implies nature is all that exists, which is why atheists believe that almost invariably. But if nature is all that exists, then choice is impossible, and thereby guilt, which undermines society entirely, because then rapists would be innocent. Nature made me rape. That's how atheism is worse than Nazism. No atheist is consistent with this implication, because atheists always act as if there are people who deserve blame, as if those people had a choice, when the atheist paradigm doesn't allow for real choice. So atheists put Kermit in jail for what the puppet master made him do. How silly. Now shut up and sit down. I am sitting down. I originally laughed out loud. And I typed that. The implication is that I have responsibility to do this and that. Nature doesn't say that you have to be in harmony with your fellow citizens. Why are you acting as if your opinions matter? Nature says you don't even have a mind of your own, because nature makes you say what you say. You don't have freedom from physics, supposedly. Nature says this: might makes right. So nature says bullies are right. There's a reason Darwinists murdered all Tasmanians. They were aware of nature. It's cruel. It's a dog-eat-dog world where you do anything to get ahead, and where the strong trample on the weak. Ever seen the YouTube channel Kruger Sightings? It shows how, from South Africa, it shows how crazy the animal world is, where everyone is always fighting and no one is safe. That's the world where might makes right. That's anarchy, where the only order is the hierarchy of bully packs, bully prides, and other unmerciful gangs. Although sometimes you see a lioness adopt an impala, right? That seems like mercy, but generally they're unmerciful. So we all get along agreeably, but your definition of agreeable isn't everyone else's. So who must have the last word? If you look at how atheism spread by the bloody French Revolution and communist Holocaust, you can see that atheists impose their definitions by the guillotine and the gun. Very agreeable. And then he said, we got to do good to others. Alright, that's nice. Stop climate change. I lived in Miami most of my life. The sea level never rose. They keep moving the goalposts, saying Florida will be submerged. Later, later, later. Back in Al Gore's day, they were saying a lot of places dry today are supposed to be underwater. You know why Venice is taken over by water gradually? It's not that water is rising. Venice is sinking. The very term climate change is so vague it fits any situation possible, which makes it unfalsifiable, which is very unscientific. The global warming lies to oppress mankind by more taxes and less freedoms. You are a useful pawn for the elites who fly in private jets while selling you the lie that you are a nuisance to the planet. Of course, I hate litterers, and polluters should stop. But polluting the air doesn't mean the sea levels will rise. It means the quality of life will decrease, in the locality especially. Also, in the countryside of Cambodia, I saw 2 years ago that crop fields used to be submerged, but they were at that time almost entirely dry. I went back recently, and lo and behold, they're so submerged now that the water buffalo have to wade through some parts of the elevated path. It wasn't because of imaginary global warming that there was a drought. It was probably because of a Chinese dam in the Mekong River, or two. He said, don't turn the other cheek for anything that isn't trivial. I don't. I saved women from robbers before. The Bible says the good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep, fighting wolves to the death if need be. Now shut up and sit down. Behave like an adult. Adults tend to be more religious than babies. I do behave like an adult because I'm no longer an atheist baby. He said, no, that's wrong. You're appealing to hard determinism, not nature. I don't believe in that. I believe in soft determinism due to quantum mechanics. Quantum is fiction, as I proved in my video on it. It's based on a misinterpretation of the double-slit experiment. Your atheist myth says contradictions are real. That means rapists are innocent, not just guilty. Agree or cherry pick. I'm going to need to know where you got your PhD from before you make any other reply. I will completely ignore until you demonstrate your opinions are worth anything at all. So he ran away from my question. 3 atheists checkmated. 3 atheists checkmated in the same day. 3 atheists attacked me and I checkmate them Aw. Rusty, you were never sharp to begin with.